It doesn't take long walking in Auckland CBD before you come across an e-scooter. Laurie Magnus lives in Auckland CBD and says she spends her days in constant fear of colliding with one as she navigates the streets in her wheelchair.
I don't go to places that I used to go because I am tired of feeling so scared. I'm tired of that tenseness and that pit in my stomach.
A year ago, she spoke to Checkpoint about the many near misses she's had with e-scooters and a collision which landed her in hospital. Since then, things are far worse.
They're supposed to give way, they're not supposed to double dinky, like have a second person on it. Those two are ones that I see, like, they never give way, never, I've never seen it.
Laurie often has to move off the footpath and onto the road to avoid a pile-up of dumped devices.
You cannot get through so many areas on the footpath because they're just left there. They're just dumped.
Currently, e-scooter riders are allowed to use the road and the footpath. If using the road, riders must be as near as possible to the edge but aren't allowed to use the cycle lanes. These riders in downtown Auckland say for that reason they stick to the footpath.
There's no room on either, because on the footpath you end up by hurting people, and on the road the cars end up by hurting you.
I usually ride on the footpath, mostly for my own safety, because I think it's a lot more dangerous trying to navigate the speed in which the cars are moving on the road.
4 years ago, the Ministry of Transport consulted on allowing e-scooter riders to use cycle lanes and limiting the speed limit to 15 kilometres per hour on the footpath. But the changes were never progressed and the Ministry could not confirm whether they will be enforced in the future. If e-scooters were allowed in the cycle lane, these riders say they'd move off the footpath.
That absolutely needs to be changed. A safe place for e-scooters would be great.
Do you think if you were allowed to use those cycle lanes you would potentially move off the footpath?
Yeah, 100%.
Totally, they should be and I think that's the other thing. Everyone's trying to get how to get active transport and people moving through the city. And if we really want people to start using them, rather than having to congest Auckland City, that's the only way that this becomes viable.
Local councils can set curfews for when e-scooters can be used, where they can be ridden, and set speed restrictions through geofencing technology. Auckland, Wellington and Christchurch Council all have several low-speed zones, mainly in their central business districts, where a limit is set at 15 kilometres per hour. But Living Streets Aotearoa pedestrian advocacy group member Gay Richards says that's still too fast.
Even that is a pretty fast speed when you consider that the average walker is doing 4 to 5 and a mobility or sight impaired person is likely to be doing a bit less than that.
She says they've been inundated with feedback from pedestrians who have suffered lasting injuries due to e-scooters.
Between 2021 and 2023, there were over 7,000 ACC claims for e-scooter related injuries. Last year, there was a 37% increase.
Both Wellington and Auckland Council provide several dedicated parking zones for e-scooters in the city. Christchurch is trialling 2 locations. In Auckland, council officers monitor e-scooter parking to check they're being left in a suitable spot. If there's an issue, the operator has an hour to fix it. In Wellington and Christchurch, the operators themselves were in charge of monitoring parking. But pedestrians like Laurie say providers are not taking responsibility and she wants to see e-scooters banned for good.
Life would be safer for a lot of people if they did have to close down because they are not responsible providers.
Checkpoint has approached the Minister of Transport, Simeon Brown, for comment.